So, we continue our knowledge sharing mission through a series of interviews with marketing leaders from all over the world, and we're thrilled to have Prateek with us today. Prateek, would you mind introducing yourself?
Hi, Kiara. Thank you so much for the opportunity. It's absolutely an honor and pleasure to be amongst the elite group of CMOs who have joined before me on the CMO chat. Thanks once again. I am Prateek Mathur and I am responsible for running marketing for SAP Success Factors in Asia Pacific and Japan region.
So amazing to have you here, Prateek. Would you be able to tell us about yourself and your role at SAP?
Well, if I have to summarize what I do at SAP, then it's primarily four things. One, I act as a conduit between the global marketing teams and the field marketing organization, which essentially means connecting strategy with execution. The second part of that role is ensuring that as the strategy lands in the market units I look after, it is relevant. So ensuring that our messaging frameworks, our execution models, frameworks are all localized to the needs of the region and the markets. Third part of the role is ensuring that our integrated demand plans across channels, be it digital or events, are performing well and getting best returns on our investments. And finally, the fourth pillar, which I consider the most important one, is driving customer adoption and advocacy, working with our customers and ensuring that their great stories about how they are leveraging technology for total business transformation, especially in the field of HR, are actually told to the world, right? So customers are the real heroes, and we just are the storytellers, bringing out what they do best with technology. So yeah, these are the four things that I look after.
That sounds really exciting, Prateek. But I'm also curious to know, how did you get into marketing?
What got me into marketing is my curiosity. I started my career as a web developer in one of the fairly large media houses in India. Soon, destiny got me into the world of business application. I was extremely curious about how technology helps organizations run, really. That's where I think the business application bug caught me. So, being a developer, I of course started as a tech consultant, helping customers adopt solutions as part of implementation teams. I work with implementation partners. Um, However, while I was at it, I realized that there is so much to learn, particularly interested in areas like manufacturing, supply chain. So I went ahead and did some certifications, and from technology, I became a techno-functional consultant. So I started consulting customers on manufacturing aspects as well a little bit. Um, and then that went on for a few years as implementer, but then slowly I realized that I became a bit curious about how customers start their journey, and what are the problems that they're looking to solve, and that took me to pre-sales. So yeah, and I started engaging with customers, helping them understand the value of technology, understanding what their pain points are, and it was really I got a lot of kick and excitement out of really understanding business issues and trying to solve them through technology. I did that for a few years at Microsoft. While I was at it, I realized that in pre-sales, I'm impacting one customer at a time, but there are these set of few smart, people. They call themselves marketeers, and what they're doing is they are impacting markets and industries and segments at a time. So their scale of their work that they do and the impact of the work that they create is so enormous. And I love the amount of creativity that was involved in that job. So I started learning piece by piece on how they go about some of the industry marketing, solution marketing aspects. And soon I got a chance to lead the marketing for Microsoft Dynamics Solutions itself for India. And then, yeah, that's what I did before I got here at SAP, of course, and SAP being the Mecca of business application in some way. Yeah, long story short, that's what got me into marketing. And I think marketing is a place where I found my passion. my ikigai, as they call it. So here I am.
What a journey indeed, Pratik, right? I think once you really feel the passion in terms of what you're doing, there's no way back. Like that's it. And so out of all of the experience that you've had in SAP, I also wanted to understand what is your main marketing focus at the moment? And I guess why are they important into your company's growth as well as its success?
Well, let me start defining our priorities in this way. Let's maybe ask this question to our audience, and if they can put their answers in the chat. What is it that you expect out of your organizations? What I mean by that is, how do you like to interact with your organizations? And now let me explain what I'm saying. As individuals in day-to-day life, we are interacting with apps like Google, which are so intuitive, which has somehow AI built into it. You get the route, Google helps you navigate across traffic and so on and so forth. Now, may I ask you whether your HR systems help you navigate your maze within your organization or not, right? So there are various aspects of HR, right, which needs a lot of these technology, a lot of these capabilities to come in. So HR is no more like a system of records, right? It has got a layer of data, which is people's data, rich data about the skills, what they can do for your organizations. Then there is an application layer which defines the process, and on top of that, you have AI, which it comprises of agents, generative AI, and all those good things that AI brings in. Now, if you combine all these three things, you get a flywheel effect. And this flywheel effect is something that we are trying to bring across to organizations, ensuring that every employee is a success story, right? So that's one part of our priority. The second part of the priority is to ensure that this is realized not only by enterprises, but more and more organizations across the world in mid markets are seeing benefits of using this flywheel effects. And we want to ensure that we bring this message across to the fast growing mid market organizations as well. And hence that's the second part of our priority this year.
So that's a really interesting point that you bring up. But I think nowadays, like what you said, with the rise of technology, the rise of AI, what would you say is the biggest challenge that marketers are facing today?
Oh, well, a lot of people believe today that the biggest challenge and the opportunity is AI. But in my view, I think irrespective of technology, and I consider AI, of course, is one of technology, of course, no matter how big uh, potential to disrupt it has. It's a technology, and at the end of the day, it's people who are buying that technology. And as people make technology decisions, what I feel is today the entire process of decision making is becoming more and more complex. It used to be a linear process once, but now what I feel is that we are seeing buying committees getting formed. There were always more than few people engaged in decision making process, but now what we are seeing is the size of those buying committees are becoming larger, right? And there has been some Sixth Sense studies and Forrester studies basically backing it up as well. If you read it, but what it says is that the size of the buying committees has grown an average from 10 to 15 in some of the technology decisions. We are seeing these buying committees are, of course, researching on our technology much before they start talking to you, right? So almost 70% of their research work is already done before they engage with you. And at times we are seeing opportunities getting stalled and not moving forward because probably, and one of the Forrester research says that 86% of stalled opportunities, the largest reason for opportunities not to move forward is because somebody from a buying committee, an important person, was ignored earlier in the entire marketing of the sales journey. So I think the biggest challenge that we continue to face as B2B marketers is how do we engage with these complex committees which exist within the customer organizations, right? Yeah, that's what it is, and that's where I see a B2B is also becoming more like B2C, right? Because now we are looking at personas, individuals, their aspirations, their goals, and we're trying to align not only to the organization needs or industry needs. Now we are looking at personas individually within the organizations and trying to address what our technology can do for them. Yeah, so I think that's where the complexity is.
Absolutely agree with what you've mentioned, Pratik. I think nowadays, with the complex buying journeys, it's really difficult to start understanding where the buyer is at. But I think one of the priorities that we're also seeing is really making sure that we're educating the stakeholders and really trying to reestablish the value that we bring into them as part of the solutions that we have.
Absolutely.
So nowadays, right, we're talking about all of these trends with the buyers and the different customers, but coming from a marketing perspective, what would you believe is the biggest opportunity that, let's say, marketing directors or CMOs today that maybe it wasn't available in the past before?
Well, the biggest opportunity that we have is that we can all turn ourselves into Iron Man with AI, right? Because if you truly see that AI has the ability to bring scale to whatever we do, it has the power to automate some of the mundane stuff. It has the power for to give us the time that we need to innovate and think creatively and think out of the box, right? So I think AI is bringing some capabilities that we have experienced never before. And today, as marketing leaders, it is important we are not only educating our teams on AI, giving them opportunities on AI to learn more every day, but also creating collaborative platforms where people can exchange ideas, use cases on what they are discovering on day-to-day basis. Because I think nobody can actually visualize what truly and transformed post AI kind of scenarios would look out, whether the roles would exist the way they exist, what would change, we don't know. The only thing that we know is that there is a lot to learn, there is a lot to experiment, and then there is a lot to embrace. So I think AI is a technology we should all embrace with open arms and go all out and ensuring that we are ahead of the curve in terms of not only learning about AI, but really adopting it in our day-to-day business.
Yeah. I think I resonate very much with what you've just mentioned. And I think with the rise of AI and just the overall power of it, it really does empower both sides, both the buyer as well as the vendor in this particular case, because of the plethora of information that are available. And it's really up to us on how we utilize that technology and how to push it forward to really bring in, that kind of information towards us. And so now I'm also curious to know, right? Looking back on, the past year, with all of these activities, all of these initiatives that you might have, hosted, what was the most successful event or maybe engagement piece that you've hosted and why?
For me, the most memorable one is the one which has probably created the largest business impact for SAP, and that was the launch of S4HANA, uh, which was, of course, our flagship offering. Now, that time we were really looking at, if I go back when this was launched, there was basically customers were on R3. They were looking at how they could, and why, because R3 everything was working fine. So when we had to really show them the power of HANA, we wanted to show them the power of how this basically not just an upgrade, but really a business transformation. It was not easy. And we had, as I was talking about buying committee some time back, it was truly an engagement which needs to involve so many people across the business in a customer organization, from CFOs to operations heads to procurements to IT, of course, CEOs, so on and so forth. So they were supply chain heads, manufacturing heads, everybody was involved in that decision. So the challenge that we had was, how do we get these guys to talk to each other in one room, right, and talk about transformation in general? So we created something called Live Business League, which was about really getting all these people together in the room and experiencing technology. But then we wanted to do it in a fun way. We wanted to make it aspirational for people to really do it, right, and become part of it. So we created what we call as Live Business League, which was really a competition across multiple organizations. We encouraged organizations, a cross-functional team of people to come together, and the challenge was that they were to run a fictitious organization for a quarter. And when I say a quarter, it was actually 90 minutes, because in our quarter, one day was equivalent to 1 minute. So it was like running a business, a simulation, like you typically do in a business school. The difference was that the customer didn't know till the end was they were actually running a simulation on a real S/4HANA system. So, so of course, we have got hundreds of participants from across the country from our target customer organizations. They came in. We like any league match, there were levels of it, and there were finals, and there were winners. And the amount of excitement it created within the organizations. And when after the game, when customers actually came to know that they were running a live S/4HANA system for that simulation, you know, you had to see their faces to believe it. They were absolutely amazed and surprised because that's where they realized what a real transformed business system would look like, really, right? And that is what they experienced while sitting together, a manufacturing head, a CFO, an operations head, procurement, and so on and so forth. A complete cross-functional team coming together and experiencing that. Of course, needless to say, we had amazing results of this campaign, both from, of course, not only from a demand generation, pipe acceleration, as well as, if I can't share, but we had huge impact in terms of the wins that we got from that campaign as well. So that still remains one of the most memorable campaign and the fun campaign that we ran.
Absolutely. That's actually very, very interesting to hear because there's multiple aspects to what you've just mentioned, right? I think firstly, it means that you really understand your customers well enough. They were really able to engage throughout that whole activity without even realizing the impact of what they were doing at the very end. So I think that is quite a successful event if you look at it from that angle. And that's something that I'll also take note from our side as well.
Yeah.
And so we talked about the past year and what those successful engagement pieces are. Now we want to look at this year ahead, and so I'm also curious to know what's at the very top of your priority list for 2026.
Well, I think I touched upon this aspect a while back, but maybe I'll elaborate a little bit. Um, our biggest priority for 2026 is bringing the power of AI in people transformation to fast-growing mid-size organizations, right? And if I really talk about what it means for us, it means two things. One, ensuring that the entire ecosystem is enabled to deliver this value to the customers. SAP has huge set of partner ecosystem. That's our core strength that provides not only reach, but they bring complementing capabilities to deliver value to the customers. We want to ensure that these partners are enabled on the latest and the best in technology and working hand in hand with us at SAP in ensuring that we take this message and value to the customers.
It's interesting that you mentioned about enabling the partners because I think that's really one of the growth drivers that we're seeing since, quite recently. And it's very exciting to see that, we're also enabling our partner ecosystem in ways that would, benefit both businesses at the same time. So now we've talked about, your priorities from last year, what worked well, and, your priorities for 2026. Now I kind of want to learn more about your perspective into being a marketing leader, right? We know that being a marketing leader comes with different roles and responsibilities, but I'm curious to know, how would you describe the role of the head of marketing or the CMO in one word, and why?
Well, if I have to define our role in one word, I would probably call it a business yogi. Um, and while I call it business yogi, as let me explain. Like in yoga, actually means unification, and yoga means unifications of body, mind, and soul. If you look at it from a business standpoint, in business as well, if you start comparing these three aspects, our mind is our business strategy, body is our execution, what we do, how we engage with our customer, and our soul is the spirit of creativity and innovation that we bring to the table, right? And marketing is exactly amalgamation of all these three aspects in some shape and form, right? And it's also about balancing these three aspects in whatever we do on a daily basis. So hence that's why I called myself a business yogi. In fact, some bit of a small self promotion here. I also have a small YouTube channel which I've recently started by this name, a business yogi. And also the same content is also available on Instagram with the same channel name. So if you're interested to know a little more about this philosophy, you're more than welcome to join in on my Instagram or YouTube channels.
What an amazing way to put it. I think out of all of the interviews that I've done like this, no one has actually compared it as to being a yogi. So that's a really, really interesting point, Pratik. But as we move on, right, I think a lot of people will be hearing, this podcast that we're doing. And so if you had, let's say, a career advice to anyone who wants to start a career in marketing, what would it
Yeah.
be?
Well, my advice to all budding B2B marketeers is one, um, know the business that you are in. It's not just about the discipline of marketing, but you need to understand the nuances of the business that you're marketing for. That's one. Second, right now it's time for staying curious, learning new things. In fact, marketing is a discipline where you evolve every day. So I'd simply put it, stay curious, keep learning, and keep moving forward. And that's the only mantra.
Very straightforward. And I think that's great advice for anyone who really wants to start a career in marketing in 2026. And so we're on to our last question, Pratik. And it's really mostly about what question you want to ask, right? If you could ask any marketing leader, such as yourself, one question, what would it be?
I think one of the questions that I'd like to ask myself, not only now, but almost every day, is, am I reimagining the entire marketing function with AI?